Hello everybody, Jack the Railfan here. I've been working on the layout quite a bit since the last update. The biggest thing is a new track. I've been wanting to build a second track around the layout for quite a while now, and what I ended up building is a long oval that's elevated where it goes over the entrance to the yard, way over there, and then comes back down its own hill, curves around, comes next to the station, so two trains can be parked at the station at the same time. Because of a lack of extra track, I had to use a switch from the 1980s to bridge one small gap. As for the trestles, they are early 1960s Lionel trestles, made of plastic, and the graduated trestles, the very tallest ones, were advertised to be able to fit a HO track underneath. So if you want, you could pick some of these up online and you can set up your own O-gauge trains on an HO gauge layout, even if you don't have all the space you might need. Powering what's left of the layout after the CW80 takes care of the rest, I have a Lionel DC transformer from the 80s that came with a Southern Streak starter set that my dad had, and I have hooked it up very simply for the time being with thin wire, low voltage wire, and use the old lock-on of his as well. So now, two trains running at the same time. Another new addition to the layout that you might have noticed is this Menards Cripple Creek water tower. The arm does go down to just the right height, so any train can fit underneath. Maybe not high cube boxcars or scale auto racks, things like that, but in that case, just leave it up. And it's got a working counterweight, but it did break off of this one during shipping. If you can still pick one up at your local stores after Christmas, I highly recommend it. It's a very nice building, and it would be a great addition to any layout, especially if you run steam engines. As you might have seen in my last running session, if you have seen that video, here's a card for it if you want to go watch that right now. You might have noticed this new rolling stock on my layout. This is a Lionel Grand Trunk Western automobile double-door boxcar. They would have hauled lots and lots of cars and car parts in their lifetime. This model actually has some automobile frames inside. Brand new automobile frames to be delivered to the next factory over to get their bodies and engines attached. Every bit of detailing on this car is just amazing to me. The lettering is a little bit bold, but I haven't been able to find any pictures of the real thing, so for all I know, that's just how they were. The ladders are very well applied. The handbrake is firm in place. The handrails, the wood grain on this walkway up here, everything about it is amazing. Teeny tiny little details that most people wouldn't even notice are scattered all over it. Next up is another new car I got along with that one. A New York Central Pullman Standard PS5 gondola. This car came with 11 Coke containers. Coke is of course a fuel for steel mills and factories all over the world. And in England it was even used as the primary fuel on steam locomotives instead of coal. They are removable, as you can see, one by one, or take them all out in a big handful like this. Very easy. Every one of these containers is detailed very well, just like the car. It says, "Caution, release cable for unloading only," so this would have been held in by a cable. Each container has a number, and each number is different. Probably the most fun part about these gondolas if you lift up the end and then just push in a little bit, the end of the car drops in so you can haul extra long loads. You can buy these gondolas in a 2-pack with a matching flat car for the same railroad that has such a load, something like those steel culverts. The only thing I can pick out about this car that might not be perfectly realistic is the lettering on the side that says, "When empty, return to Paynesville, Ohio," is missing the E in Paynesville. So if you're looking real close at it, you might not like that, but things like this just happen sometimes, and it's not that big a deal. Now, on to the next scale car of mine. This is a boxcar much like those that would have been built in the late 1970s and early 1980s, that lots of railroads leased out to each other and painted in very bright colors. Not an original Pierre Marquette double-door boxcar, but if you're not looking for an exact replica, or you just want something to fill out your fleet or an old road name, this is very nice. And as a more modern boxcar, I consider it a heritage boxcar in my fleet. It does have the very easily opening double doors, just like a real Pierre Marquette auto furniture boxcar. They had lots of these back in the day, and there's still 2 around, one in Owasso with 1225, and one in Grand Haven with 1223. Just at the end of the boxcar, you'll see some lettering that says LCCA 25th Annual Convention, Grand Rapids, Michigan, July 22nd, 1996. I think these were specially made for that convention in Grand Rapids, and it's very fitting because all of the Pierre Marquette's major repairs around the post-war years when the Berkshire was king were made in Wyoming, which is a suburb of Grand Rapids. The shops are still there, and as I said, if you want to see boxcars like this, there are still 2 in existence. Not just like this one, this is probably one of a kind given its more modern design, but it is still a very good car, and I like to pull it on all my trains. Next up we have a pair of Menards Milwaukee Road ore cars. These are some of Menards' amazing new freight cars that they come out with every year. These came out last year, I just never got around to showing them off. They make these in 4 road names, last I checked. It was the Milwaukee Road, like you see here, Great Northern, which is basically the same with a different logo, same brown and everything, a dark green with gold letters, Chicago and Northwestern, and then a war bonnet scheme set of Santa Fe cars, which is very interesting, and if you want to put them on a passenger train, I encourage that. That would look very cool. I've put them facing different directions because on each side, if you look very close, they do have slightly different detailing depending on which side of the car you look at. One side has a whole mess of chains and gears and cranks and everything to open the bottom hatch of the car, and the other side is a little bit more plain. So you could do exactly as I do here, and put them in different directions depending on what you want to show off. And if you do want to actually load them with something, fear not, the tops do come off. And the final car, this one is actually new. It's a Lionel Union Pacific caboose. It seems this car was separated from a starter set called the Union Pacific Flyer. It has a very nice color scheme of yellow with a red roof and a white rectangle on each side with black letters saying, "Put it here, we'll get it there." It has some sort of a color code, maybe something modern railroads do to scan their cars like you would a receipt or something. I'm not entirely sure, and if you look at the Built by Lionel thing on the back, it says it was made in 2020. So it is really quite new, especially compared to everything else in my collection, which is about 15 years old on average. If anyone here is looking for new freight cars to add to their collections, any variations of the cars I just showed you would make great additions, I'm sure, especially that PS5 gondola. So, that'll be it for this video. Leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more videos, and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I put out a new video. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!